Admiral Minho walked through the massive doors of the Galactic Senate chamber. His boots made soft sounds on the crystal floor. Behind him, his team followed in silence. Jiwan, his diplomatic officer, carried a datapad filled with documents. Hana, the intelligence chief, kept her eyes moving, watching everything. The chamber was enormous. It stretched up so high that Minho could barely see the ceiling. Thousands of seats filled the circular room, and in each seat sat an alien representative. Some looked like giant insects. Others seemed to be made of living crystal. A few appeared almost human, but their skin glowed with strange colors. This was humanity's moment. After 2 years of petitions and meetings, Earth finally had a chance to speak before the full Senate. Minho's people needed protection. Human colonies on the outer rim were being attacked. Ships disappeared. Settlements went silent. Hundreds of humans had died, and no one knew who was responsible. Minho reached the center platform. A beam of light surrounded him, making him visible to all the aliens above. He stood straight, his uniform perfect, his face calm. He had fought in 3 wars before this. He had commanded fleets in battles that saved millions. But today he felt small. The Senate recognizes the representative from Earth. A voice boomed through the chamber. It came from everywhere at once. Minho cleared his throat. Honored members of the Galactic Senate, I am Admiral Minho of the United Terran Coalition. I speak for all humanity today. We come before you in peace, seeking your help. A ripple of sound moved through the chamber. It might have been laughter. Minho could not tell. Our colonies are under attack, Minho continued. In the past 6 months, 12 settlements have been destroyed. Over 300 civilians have been killed. Our patrol ships have been ambushed. We have tracked these attackers to the neutral zones beyond our space, but we lack the military reach to pursue them. He paused, letting his words sink in. We request full membership in the Galactic Senate. We ask for the protection that all member species receive. We ask for justice. The chamber fell silent. Then from the highest seat a voice spoke. It was cold and sharp like breaking glass. The chair recognizes Councillor Vexillar of the Kelthrian Empire. A massive alien stood in the highest box. His body was covered in dark scales and his eyes glowed red. 4 arms crossed over his chest. Vexillar was one of the most powerful beings in the Senate, leader of an empire that controlled hundreds of worlds. Admiral Minho, Vexillar said, his voice dripping with contempt. Your species has been in space for barely 200 years. You have explored a tiny fraction of this galaxy. You know nothing of our laws, our traditions, our history. Minho said nothing. He waited. Your military is primitive, Vexillar continued. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are crude. Your tactics are simple. Why should the Senate waste its resources protecting a species that cannot even protect itself? More sounds filled the chamber. This time Minho knew it was laughter. Jiwan stepped forward. Counselor, if I may speak. Silence. Vexillar's voice crashed down like thunder. You were not given permission to speak, human. Remember your place. Jiwan's face turned red, but she stepped back. Minho put a gentle hand on her shoulder. Councillor Vexillar, Minho said carefully. We understand we are young, but we have proven ourselves capable. We have developed faster than light travel independently. We have established colonies on 40 worlds. We seek only to be recognized as equals. Equals? Vexillar laughed. It was an ugly sound. You are children playing with toys. The Senate has no time for children. Another alien stood up. This one looked like a floating jellyfish, its body glowing blue. The Kelthrian speaks truth, it said in a bubbling voice. Humanity has shown no exceptional qualities. Why should we extend our protection to every species that comes begging? We are not begging, Minho said, his voice harder now. We are asking for what is right. The Senate's own laws state that any species suffering unprovoked attacks may request protection. Your interpretation of our laws is amusing, Vexillar said, but incorrect. The law applies to recognized species. You are not recognized, therefore you have no claim to protection. Then we request recognition, Jiwan said loudly, unable to stay silent. Vexillar turned his burning eyes on her. Request denied. The Senate requires a unanimous vote for new membership. I vote no. Who else votes to deny humanity? Hands, tentacles, and appendages rose throughout the chamber. Hundreds of them. Minho counted quickly. Every single member was voting against humanity. The decision is final, Vexillar declared. Humanity is denied membership. Humanity is denied protection. This matter is closed. Wait, Minho said, his voice cutting through the noise. You would condemn us to death? You would let our people be slaughtered while you sit here in safety? We condemn no one, Vexlar said with mock sympathy. We simply refuse to involve ourselves in your affairs. If you cannot defend yourselves, perhaps you should not be in space at all. The galaxy is a dangerous place, Admiral. Perhaps humanity should return to its single planet and leave exploration to those capable of it. The chamber erupted in sounds that might have been agreement or amusement. Minho felt rage building in his chest, but he forced it down. Showing emotion now would only make things worse. Is there any member who will speak for humanity? Minho called out. Silence answered him. Then this Senate is a gathering of cowards, Minho said quietly. But his voice carried in the stillness. You hide behind your laws while innocent people die. History will remember this day. History forgets insects, Vexlar said. Guards escort the humans from the chamber. 2 massive robots appeared beside Minho's group. They gestured toward the door. There was nothing left to do. Minho turned and walked away, his team following. The doors seemed much farther now than when they had entered. As they walked through the corridor outside, Hana moved close to Minho. Her voice was barely a whisper. Admiral, we have a problem. A big problem. Not now, Hana, Minho said tiredly. Sir, this cannot wait. Her voice was urgent. While you were speaking, I monitored the Senate's communication channels. I intercepted encrypted messages. Minho stopped walking. What kind of messages? Hana glanced around, making sure no one could hear them. Military communications. Kelthrian military communications. Admiral, they are the ones attacking our colonies. The world seemed to stop. Minho stared at her. What? I have proof. Coded transmissions ordering strikes on human settlements. The attacks are designed to look like random pirate raids, but they are planned and executed by Kelthrian forces. Jiwan gasped. Vexlar, he knew. He knew the whole time. It is worse than that, Hana said. This was not just a rejection. This was a setup. They wanted to deny us protection, so they could continue the attacks without interference. Minho's mind raced. Everything made sense now. The unanimous vote. The mockery. The refusal to even consider their request. The Senate had not rejected humanity out of indifference. They had rejected humanity because the most powerful empire in the galaxy wanted them dead. Can you prove this? Minho asked. Yes, sir. I have the intercepted messages. I have tracked the attack patterns. I have identified the ships involved. Minho looked back toward the Senate chamber. The massive doors were closed now, sealing him out. Beyond those doors, the aliens who had just condemned his people to death were probably laughing. Get me our ship, Minho said quietly. We are leaving. What will we do? Jiwan asked. Minho's jaw tightened. His eyes became cold and hard. We will do what we should have done from the beginning. We will stop asking for permission. We will take what we need, and we will make them pay. They walked toward the docking bay. Behind them, the Galactic Senate continued its business, unaware that everything was about to change. The aliens thought they had won. They thought humanity would crawl away and die quietly. They were wrong. The human embassy station orbited Senate Prime like a small metal moon. It was not impressive compared to the massive alien structures nearby, but it was home for now. Minho stood in the main briefing room, staring at the holographic display that floated above the table. Red dots marked every attack on human colonies. The pattern was clear once you knew what to look for. Show them, Minho said to Hana. Hana pressed a button. The display changed. Now blue lines connected the red dots to a single point in space. A Kelthrian military base. Around the table sat Minho's senior officers. Captain Jiho leaned forward, his scarred face angry. Commander Yuna typed notes on her datapad. Engineer Daehyun studied the display with calculating eyes. Young Officer Sora looked shocked. This is the evidence, Hana said. Every attack originated from ships that left this base. The Kelthrians used unmarked vessels to hide their involvement, but I tracked their communication signatures. It is definitely them. Jiho slammed his fist on the table. Those lying snakes. They sat there in the Senate and mocked us while their ships murdered our people. There is more, Hana continued. I have decoded some of their messages. The attacks are part of a larger plan. The Kelthrians see humanity as a threat. A threat? Sora asked. How are we a threat? They have hundreds of worlds. We have 40 colonies. Hana brought up a new display. This is a Kelthrian intelligence report on humanity. They fear three things about us. First, our faster-than-light drives. We do not need their jump gates. We can go anywhere independently. Second, our adaptability. We reverse engineer alien technology faster than any other species they have encountered. Third, our military tactics. We fight differently than they expect. They fear us because we are unpredictable, Una said slowly. Exactly, Hana confirmed. The Kelthrians have dominated this region of space for 3,000 years. They control trade through their jump gates. They control technology through licensing agreements. They control military power through the Senate. We threaten all of that. Minho turned away from the display, so they decided to destroy us before we became strong enough to challenge them. The Senate's rejection was planned, Jiwan said from the doorway. She had been listening quietly. Vexillar convinced the other species that humanity was not worth protecting. Some probably know the truth. Others are just afraid to oppose the Kelthrians. Jiho stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. Then we fight. We go to war. We make them bleed for every human life they took. War against the Kelthrian Empire? Daehyun said quietly. They have 3,000 warships. We have 200. I do not care if they have 10,000 ships, Jiho growled. My sister was on Colony 7 when they attacked. Her children were there. I found their bodies myself. I will have revenge. Minho held up his hand. Sit down, Jiho. Admiral, sit down. Minho's voice was not loud, but it cut through the room like a blade. Jiho sat. Revenge is not a strategy, Minho said. Anger is not a battle plan. If we attack the Kelthrians now, we will lose. Then Earth itself will be destroyed, and every human in the galaxy will die. Is that what your sister would want? Jiho looked down. No, sir. But, Minho continued, and everyone looked up at him. We will not run. We will not hide. And we will make them pay for what they have done. We just need to be smart about it. Una spoke up. What are our options, Admiral? Minho walked around the table slowly. Option 1. We go back to Earth and warn the government. We prepare for a defensive war. We hope the Kelthrians do not attack in force before we are ready. They will attack, Hana said. I intercepted another message this morning. A Kelthrian fleet is assembling at the border of our space. Over 2,000 ships. The room went silent. 2,000 ships. That was enough to destroy Earth's defenses in days. How long do we have? Minho asked. 3 weeks. Maybe less. Sora's voice shook. 2,000 ships. Admiral, we cannot stop that. Earth's entire fleet only has 300 vessels. That brings us to option 2, Minho said calmly. We go to the Senate again. We show them the evidence. We prove the Kelthrians are the attackers. We demand justice through proper channels. They will ignore us, Jiwan said bitterly. The Senate already made their decision. They will not admit they were wrong. True, Minho agreed. Which leaves option 3. He pressed a button. The display changed again. Now it showed Earth's solar system. But this version was different. Red markers appeared around planets and moons. Hundreds of them. What am I looking at? Jiho asked. Daehyun smiled for the first time that day. Those are weapon platforms, Captain. Hidden weapon platforms, and they are just the beginning. Minho nodded. For the past 50 years, Earth has been preparing for war. We knew the galaxy was dangerous. We knew we might face enemies stronger than us. So we prepared. We built weapons. We created strategies. We trained soldiers. All in secret, he changed the display again. Now it showed ship designs that looked nothing like the standard human vessels. These are stealth carriers, Minho explained. Invisible to most sensors. Each one carries 200 fighter craft. We have 10 of them. Another change. These are dreadnoughts with quantum disruption weapons. They can disable enemy shields from a distance. We have 5. Another change. These are AI-controlled tactical networks that can coordinate fleet movements faster than any organic commander. We have been running combat simulations for decades. Jiho leaned forward, his eyes wide. How did we hide all this? The Senate thinks we are primitive, Minho said. They think we are weak. We let them think that. We showed them old ships and old weapons. We never revealed our true capabilities. Why? Sora asked. Because showing strength invites challenges, Una said. Admiral Minho has been planning for this scenario since he took command. He knew one day we would face an enemy that underestimated us. Minho looked at each officer in turn. The Kelthrians think they can crush humanity with one strike. They think we will panic and surrender. They are wrong. He brought up a star chart. Here is what will happen. The Kelthrian fleet will advance through this route. It is the fastest path to Earth. They will expect us to meet them head-on or run away. We will do neither. His finger traced a path on the map. We will lead them here. The Neptune Corridor. It is a natural bottleneck in space, created by gravity wells from several large planets. Ships must move through it in formation. They cannot spread out. A trap, Jiho breathed. Exactly, Minho said. We will make them think they are chasing our fleeing fleet. We will make them overconfident. Then, when they are committed to the corridor, we will close the trap. Daehyun stood up excitedly. The stealth carriers can attack from above and below. The dreadnoughts can hit them from the sides. The weapon platforms can fire from the planets themselves. And our main fleet will block their retreat, Yuna added. They will be surrounded. It is risky, Jiwan warned. If they see through the deception, if they bring more ships than expected, if any part of the plan fails, then we lose everything, Minho finished. I know, but we will lose everything anyway if we do nothing. At least this way we fight on our terms. Hana looked worried. Admiral, even if we win this battle, the Kelthrian Empire will send more fleets. We cannot fight them forever. We will not have to, Minho said. Because after we win, I am going back to the Senate. And this time they will listen. He turned off the display. The room fell into darkness except for the light from the windows. Outside, Senate Prime glowed with millions of lights, beautiful and deadly. We leave for Earth in 1 hour, Minho ordered. Prepare everything. Send coded messages to our fleet commanders. Begin moving assets into position. Tell no one who does not need to know. What about the Senate? Jiwan asked. Should we warn them about the Kelthrian attack? Minho's face was cold. The Senate made their choice. They wanted to see if humanity could survive without their help. Let us show them exactly what humanity can do. The officers filed out of the room. Only Minho remained, standing at the window, looking at the lights of Senate Prime. Somewhere in that glittering city, Vexillar was probably celebrating humanity's defeat. Enjoy your celebration, Minho whispered. Soon you will learn what it means to provoke humanity. Soon you will understand that we are not prey, we are predators, and you just woke us up. He turned and walked out, his mind already racing through battle plans and contingencies. The Kelthrians wanted war. They would get war, but not the easy victory they expected. Humanity was done asking for permission. Humanity was done being dismissed. Humanity was done being merciful. The galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson. Earth looked beautiful from orbit. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. Minho had seen this view 1,000 times, but it never got old. This was home. This was what he fought to protect. The shuttle descended through the atmosphere, heading toward Geneva. That was where the Terran High Command had its headquarters, deep inside a mountain. The building had survived 3 world wars and countless disasters. It would need to survive one more. Minho walked through security checkpoints and down long corridors. Guards saluted as he passed. Everyone knew why he was here. News of the Senate's rejection had already reached Earth. People were scared. The command room was filled with screens and computers. 20 officers sat at stations, monitoring everything from colony defenses to supply lines. At the center of the room stood a large table with a holographic projector. Fleet Admiral Bowman stood beside the table. She was old, her hair completely gray, but her eyes were still sharp. Next to her stood General Kyung of the Ground Forces and Director Inwoo of Intelligence. Admiral Minho, Bowman said formally. Report. Minho connected his datapad to the table. The hologram activated, showing everything Hana had discovered. The 3 leaders watched in silence as the evidence played out. When it finished, the room was quiet. So the Kelthrians want us dead, Bowman said finally, and the Senate will not help. Worse than that, Minho replied. The Senate is complicit. They knew or suspected the truth but did nothing. General Kyung cursed. How long until the attack? 3 weeks. Maybe less. A fleet of 2,000 warships is assembling at our border. 2,000, Bowman repeated. We have 300 ships ready for combat. Another 100 under construction. We also have the hidden assets. Minho reminded her. The stealth carriers, the dreadnoughts, the weapon platforms. Director Inwoo spoke up. Those were meant to be our last defense. If we reveal them now, we lose the element of surprise forever. If we do not use them now, there will be no forever, Minho said bluntly. The Kelthrians intend to destroy Earth. We must stop them. Bowman studied the star charts. Show me your plan. Minho brought up his tactical display. For the next hour, he explained the trap at Neptune Corridor. He showed fleet positions, weapon deployments, and timing sequences. The three leaders asked questions. Minho answered each one. When he finished, Bowman sat down heavily. It is a good plan, but it requires perfect execution. One mistake, and we lose everything. We are out of safe options, Minho said. This is our best chance. What about afterwards? General Kyung asked. Even if we destroy this fleet, the Kelthrians have hundreds more ships. They will come again. That is why we must make them afraid to come, Minho said. We must hurt them so badly that they think twice about attacking Earth again. And the Senate? Director Inwoo asked. Minho's face hardened. After we win, I will return to Senate Prime. I will bring Vexlar's flagship as proof of our victory, and I will make them recognize humanity, whether they want to or not. Bowman looked at the other leaders. They nodded. Very well. You have authorization to proceed with your plan. What do you need? Everything, Minho said. I need every ship, every weapon, every soldier we have. I need the shipyards working around the clock. I need civilians evacuated from vulnerable colonies. I need total communication blackout so the Kelthrians do not realize what we are doing. You will have it, Bowman promised. She pressed a button on the table. This is Fleet Admiral Bowman. Activate Protocol Omega. Authorization code, Bowman 77 Alpha Red. All commands are to follow orders from Admiral Minho. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Alarms began sounding throughout the building. Red lights flashed. Across Earth and all human colonies, military bases received the signal. Protocol Omega meant only one thing: total war. Within hours, the entire human civilization mobilized. Shipyards that had been building cargo vessels switched to warships. Factories that made civilian goods began producing weapons. Soldiers recalled from leave returned to their units. Civilians on outer colonies boarded evacuation ships. Minho spent the next week moving between Earth, Mars, and the outer system. He met with ship captains, reviewed weapons tests, and inspected defenses. He barely slept. There was too much to do and too little time. In a facility on Mars, engineer Daehyun showed him the final weapon. It was called the Reaper Protocol, and it was humanity's greatest secret. This device generates a quantum pulse, Daehyun explained, pointing at a massive machine. When activated, it disrupts the molecular bonds in ship hulls, specifically the type of metal alloys used in Kelthrian ships. Will it work? Minho asked. In testing, yes. But we have never used it against an actual Kelthrian vessel. The theory is sound, but theory is not the same as reality. How many do we have? 3. One is installed on your flagship. One is mounted on a weapon platform near Neptune. The third is in reserve. Minho studied the machine. It looked dangerous even when turned off. What is the range? 10,000 kilometers. Any Kelthrian ship within that range will have its hull weakened by 50%. Their shields will fail. Their armor will crack. And our ships? Unaffected. We designed our hulls differently after we obtained Kelthrian metal samples. They do not know we have this advantage. Minho smiled grimly. Good. That will be our surprise. On Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, Captain Jiho trained pilots in new tactics. Human fighters were smaller and faster than Kelthrian ships. They could not win through brute strength, so they had to be smarter. Remember, Jiho told his squadron, Kelthrian ships are powerful but slow. They rely on heavy armor and strong shields. Our ships are weak but fast. We must hit them where they are vulnerable. He showed a hologram of a Kelthrian battleship. Here at the engine ports. Here at the weapon mounts. Here at the sensor arrays. Quick strikes, then retreat. Make them waste ammunition shooting at shadows. A young pilot raised his hand. Sir, what if they overwhelm us with numbers? Then we die, Jiho said bluntly. But we die fighting. We die taking as many of them with us as possible. We die protecting Earth. Is there a better way to die? The pilot said nothing. They understood. On Earth, Commander Yuna worked with the AI Tactical Network. Humanity had developed artificial intelligence that could process battlefield data in milliseconds. It could predict enemy movements, coordinate friendly forces, and adjust strategies in real time. The Kelthrians do not use AI, Yuna explained to her team. They believe organic commanders are superior. That belief will kill them. Our AI can react 1,000 times faster than their commanders. She ran simulation after simulation, testing different scenarios. What if the Kelthrians brought more ships? What if they saw through the trap? What if they split their fleet? For every possibility, she developed a response. At the Neptune corridor, construction crews worked day and night installing weapon platforms. They buried quantum missiles in asteroids. They hid railguns inside moon craters. They positioned mines throughout the corridor, all invisible to standard sensors. Young Officer Sora supervised the work. She had never commanded anything before, but Minho trusted her. Make it perfect, he had told her. Our lives depend on it. She pushed the workers hard. Every weapon had to be perfectly placed. Every system had to be tested multiple times. There was no room for error. In deep space, infiltration specialist Nari prepared for her mission. She would take a small stealth ship behind enemy lines and sabotage the Kelthrian command network. It was a suicide mission, but she volunteered anyway. Why are you doing this? Minho asked her before she left. Because someone has to, Nari replied simply. And I am good at it. You might not come back. Then I will die knowing I made a difference. That is enough. Minho watched her ship disappear into the darkness, heading toward the Kelthrian fleet. He wished he could give her better odds, but this was war. People would die. He had to accept that. Back on Earth, Jiwan worked on the message that would be sent to the Senate after the battle. She wrote and rewrote it dozens of times, trying to find the right words. How do you tell a galaxy of species that they made a terrible mistake? How do you demand justice without sounding like a conqueror? What if we lose? She asked Minho one night. They stood on a balcony overlooking Geneva. The city was dark, following blackout protocols. Only a few lights showed in the distance. Then this message will not matter, Minho said. But if we win, then the galaxy will never be the same. The old order is over. The Kelthrians thought they could control everything forever. We are going to prove them wrong. Jiwan looked up at the stars. I wish we did not have to fight. I wish there was another way. So do I, Minho admitted. But sometimes war is the only option left when peace becomes impossible. The Kelthrians took that choice away from us. 3 weeks passed too quickly. The Kelthrian fleet crossed into human space exactly as predicted. They came in a massive formation, confident and unstoppable, 2,000 ships blotting out the stars. Minho stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Indomitable. Around him, his crew worked at their stations. Everyone knew what was at stake. Everyone knew this was the most important battle in human history. Enemy fleet detected, the sensor officer reported. They are advancing at full speed toward Earth. Perfect, Minho said calmly. Begin the operation. All ships fall back as planned. Make it look like we are retreating in panic. The human fleet turned and ran. Behind them, the Kelthrians pursued. Their commanders must have been laughing, seeing the humans flee. They thought victory was certain. They are entering the corridor, Yuna reported. How long until they are in position? Minho asked. 10 minutes. Minho watched the tactical display. The red mass of enemy ships moved deeper into the trap. Just a little further. Just a little more. Admiral, the communications officer said, we are receiving a message from the Kelthrian flagship. They demand our surrender. Ignore it, Minho ordered. The Kelthrian fleet pushed deeper into the Neptune corridor. They were committed now. Their formation was tight, unable to spread out because of the gravity wells. Perfect. All ships in position, Yuna confirmed. Weapons ready. Waiting for your order. Minho stood up from his command chair. This was it. The moment everything changed. Win or lose, humanity would never be the same after today. Send the signal, he commanded. Spring the trap. Show them what humanity can do. The trap closed like a steel fist. Stealth carriers decloaked above and below the Kelthrian fleet. Hundreds of human fighters poured out, swarming like angry insects. Weapon platforms hidden in asteroids and moons opened fire. Railguns, missiles, and energy beams lit up the darkness of space. The Kelthrian ships tried to turn, but they were packed too tightly in the corridor. Ships collided with each other. Their formation broke apart in chaos. "Activate the Reaper protocol," Minho ordered. Daehyun pressed a button. The device on the Indomitable hummed with power. An invisible wave spread out from the ship, washing over the nearest Kelthrian vessels. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the enemy's shields began to flicker. Hull plates cracked. Armor that should have been impenetrable suddenly became fragile. "It is working," Daehyun shouted. "The quantum pulse is disrupting their molecular structure. All ships concentrate fire on the weakened vessels," Minho commanded. "Hit them now while they are vulnerable." Human ships dove in, their weapons tearing through Kelthrian armor like paper. Explosions blossomed throughout the enemy fleet. Ship after ship fell, disabled or destroyed. On the Kelthrian flagship, Counselor Vexlar watched his fleet fall apart. He had expected an easy victory. He had expected the humans to run or surrender. This was impossible. How could these primitive creatures be winning? "All ships focus fire on that human carrier," he ordered, pointing at one of the stealth ships. "Destroy it!" A dozen Kelthrian battleships turned their weapons on the carrier. Energy beams and missiles converged on the human ship. Its shields held for a moment, then collapsed. The carrier exploded in a ball of fire, but even as it died, its fighters continued their attack. They were small and fast, dodging between the massive Kelthrian vessels. Each fighter carried powerful missiles that could crack open enemy hulls. Captain Jiho led his squadron through the chaos. His fighter danced between enemy ships so close he could see their hull markings. He targeted a Kelthrian cruiser's engine port and fired. The missile hit perfectly. The engine exploded, sending the cruiser spinning out of control. "Red Squadron, follow me," Jiho called over the radio. "We are going for the command ship." His squadron pushed deeper into the enemy fleet. Kelthrian fighters tried to intercept them, but the human pilots were better trained. One by one, the enemy fighters fell. A massive Kelthrian dreadnought blocked their path. It was 3 times the size of any human ship, covered in weapons. Jiho smiled grimly. "Perfect target. All ships concentrate fire on its sensor array. Blind it." 20 missiles hit the dreadnought's sensor dome. The explosion was massive. The ship went dark, its sensors destroyed. Without sensors, the ship was helpless. Human fighters swarmed it, hitting weak points until the great ship broke apart. Commander Yuna watched the battle from the Indomitable's tactical station. Data flowed across her screens faster than any human could read. But the AI processed everything, showing her exactly what was happening and what would happen next. "The enemy is trying to form a defensive sphere," she reported to Minho. "Shall we let them?" "No. Order the dreadnoughts to hit them from the sides. Break their formation before they can set it up." 5 human dreadnoughts appeared from behind Neptune's largest moon. They had been hiding there, waiting for this moment. Their quantum disruption weapons fired, invisible beams that passed through space and hit the Kelthrian ships. More enemy shields failed. More armor cracked. The Kelthrians tried to return fire, but their weapons could not penetrate the dreadnought's advanced shields. Deep behind enemy lines, Nari worked in the darkness of a Kelthrian communications ship. She had snuck aboard hours earlier, hiding in the cargo bay. Now she moved through the corridors, planting explosives and computer viruses. The Kelthrians did not even know she was there. They were too focused on the battle outside. Nari reached the main computer core and plugged in her device. Lines of code flowed into the Kelthrian network, corrupting their tactical data. Suddenly, the enemy commanders started receiving false information. Their sensors showed human ships where there were none. Their weapons targeted friendly vessels by mistake. Confusion spread through the fleet. "Who is doing this?" Vexlar roared on his flagship. "Find the source and stop it." But Nari was already gone, slipping back to her hidden ship. She had done her job. The Kelthrian command network was in chaos. Young Officer Sora watched from her position near Neptune. The weapon platforms she had installed were performing perfectly. Every mine, every hidden gun, every trap was working exactly as designed. "Platform 7, fire on coordinates Delta 9, she ordered. A railgun buried in an asteroid fired. The projectile moved so fast it was almost invisible. It hit a Kelthrian battleship's bridge, killing the command crew instantly. The ship drifted helplessly out of control. Platform 12, launch missiles at the enemy formation's rear. A swarm of missiles erupted from a moon crater. They spread out, each finding its own target. Dozens of Kelthrian ships took damage. Sora felt a fierce pride. This was her work. These platforms were her contribution to humanity's survival. Every enemy ship they destroyed was one that could not threaten Earth. Back on the Indomitable, Minho watched the tactical display. The battle was going well, better than he had hoped. But he could not relax. Wars were not won by single victories. Enemy fleet casualties, he asked. Over 800 ships destroyed or disabled, Yuna reported. Another 300 damaged. They are breaking. What about our losses? 70 ships destroyed. 200 damaged. Acceptable compared to enemy losses. Nothing about this is acceptable, Minho said quietly. Every ship we lost had people on it. People with families. People who trusted us to lead them well. He shook off the dark thoughts. He could mourn later. Right now he had a battle to win. Where is Vexlar's flagship? There, sir. Yuna highlighted it on the display. The massive vessel was trying to retreat, protected by a screen of smaller ships. He is running, Jiho said over the communication channel. His squadron had fought its way back to the Indomitable. Let me chase him down. Negative, Minho ordered. Return to the ship. I will handle Vexillar personally. The Indomitable broke formation and accelerated toward the enemy flagship. Other human ships moved to cover it. Kelthrian vessels tried to block their path, but they were swept aside. On his bridge, Vexlar saw the human flagship approaching. Fear crept into his heart. This was not supposed to happen. The Kelthrians were the strongest military power in the galaxy. How were they losing to these primitives? All weapons fire on that ship, he commanded. Destroy it! Every gun on the Kelthrian flagship opened fire. Energy beams and missiles converged on the Indomitable. The human ship's shields glowed bright, absorbing the damage. But they were weakening. Shields at 40%, the defensive officer reported. Return fire, Minho ordered calmly. Target their engines. The Indomitable's main gun spoke. 3 beams of pure energy lanced out, hitting the Kelthrian flagship's engine section. Explosions rippled along the enemy ship's hull. One engine died, then another. Their shields are down, Daehyun reported. They are vulnerable. Hit them again. Disable them, do not destroy them. I want Vexlar alive. The next volley was carefully aimed. It destroyed the flagship's weapons but left the main hull intact. The great ship went dark, powerless and helpless. Send boarding parties, Minho ordered. Take the ship. Capture Vexillar and his senior officers. Human Marines launched from the Indomitable in assault shuttles. They breached the Kelthrian flagship and fought through its corridors. The enemy crew tried to resist, but they were disorganized and demoralized. Within an hour, the flagship was captured. Vexlar was found on his bridge, still sitting in his command chair. He looked old suddenly, his scales dull, his eyes empty. The great counselor had been defeated by the species he had mocked. Bring him to me, Minho ordered. Around them, the battle was ending. The surviving Kelthrian ships were surrendering or fleeing. Over 1,000 enemy vessels had been destroyed. The Neptune corridor was filled with wreckage and debris. It would take years to clean up. But humanity had won. Minho stood on his bridge, looking at the tactical display. Red enemy markers were disappearing one by one. Green friendly markers still shone bright. They had done it. Against impossible odds, they had defeated the Kelthrian fleet. Casualties? He asked quietly. Yuna read from her datapad. 117 ships destroyed. 23,000 dead. 15,000 wounded. 23,000. 23,000 people who would never go home. 23,000 families who would mourn. The victory tasted like ashes in Minho's mouth. But if they had lost, everyone would be dead. Earth would be destroyed. Humanity would be extinct. 23,000 was a terrible price, but it was better than billions. What are your orders, Admiral? Yuna asked. Minho straightened up. The battle was won, but the war was not over. Now came the hard part. Now came the time to make the galaxy understand what they had done. Send a message to Earth. Tell them we won. Tell them we are safe. Yes, sir. Prepare Vexlar's flagship for towing. We are taking it with us. Where are we going, sir? Minho looked at the stars. Somewhere out there was Senate Prime. Somewhere out there were the aliens who had condemned humanity to death. They thought they could ignore Earth. They thought they could let the Kelthrians destroy an entire species without consequences. They were wrong. We are going to the Galactic Senate, Minho said. And this time they will listen to us, whether they want to or not. The human fleet arrived at Senate Prime 3 days later. This time they did not come as beggars. 300 warships surrounded the planet, their weapons powered but not aimed. A clear message. We can destroy you, but we choose not to. In the middle of the formation floated Vexlar's captured flagship, its hull scarred with battle damage. Every species in the galaxy could see it. The mighty Kelthrian Empire had been defeated by the primitive humans. Minho stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching Senate Prime grow larger on the viewscreen. Beside him, Jiwan held a datapad containing their demands. Hana monitored alien communications, listening to the panic spreading through the Senate. They are frightened, Hana reported. Emergency sessions are being called. Some species are evacuating their embassies. Good, Minho said coldly. They should be frightened. Fear will make them listen. Captain Jiho entered the bridge. The prisoner is ready, Admiral. Bring him. 2 Marines escorted Vexlar onto the bridge. The once proud counselor was in chains now, his fancy robes replaced with a simple prison uniform. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. Defeat had broken something inside him. Vexlar saw Minho and stopped. Their eyes met. The alien tried to summon his old arrogance, but it would not come. He had seen his fleet destroyed. He had seen his empire humbled. There was nothing left to be arrogant about. You cannot do this, Vexlar said weakly. The Senate will never accept threats. I am not making threats, Minho replied. I am explaining consequences. There is a difference. A communication came through from Senate Prime. This is Senate security. You are in violation of protected space. Withdraw immediately or face defensive action. Minho smiled without humor. Tell them we request an emergency session of the full Senate. Tell them it is mandatory. Tell them if they refuse, I will broadcast the evidence of Kelthrian war crimes to every planet in the galaxy. The communication officer sent the message. Minutes passed. Then a reply came. The Senate will convene in 1 hour. Perfect, Minho said. He turned to his officers. G1 Hana, Jiho, you are coming with me. Yuna, you have command of the fleet. If anything happens to us, you know what to do. Yuna nodded grimly. If Minho died, she would open fire on Senate Prime. Mutually assured destruction. The Senate needed to understand that killing humanity's leaders would not save them. The shuttle descended to Senate Prime, escorted by a squadron of human fighters. They landed at the Senate building, where a large crowd had gathered. Aliens of every species watched as the humans emerged. Some looked curious. Others looked afraid. All of them were talking. Minho walked through the crowd with his head high. The Marines brought Vexlar behind him, still in chains. The symbolism was clear. The powerful can fall. The mighty can be defeated. Nothing is permanent. The Senate chamber doors opened. Minho entered, and this time the chamber fell silent immediately. No one laughed. No one mocked. They remembered what happened the last time they dismissed humanity. Admiral Minho walked to the center platform. The light surrounded him again, but now it felt different. He was not asking for permission anymore. He was here to deliver judgment. Members of the Galactic Senate, Minho began, his voice echoing through the chamber. 3 weeks ago, I stood before you and asked for help. You refused. You mocked us. You dismissed us as unworthy. He paused, letting the words hang in the air. Since then, a fleet of 2,000 Kelthrian warships invaded human space. They came to destroy Earth. They came to exterminate humanity. They failed. G1 activated the holographic projector. Images appeared above Minho's head. The battle at Neptune Corridor. Kelthrian ships exploding. Vexlar's flagship being captured. The evidence was undeniable. Over 1,000 Kelthrian vessels were destroyed. Minho continued. Hundreds more were captured. The invasion was not just defeated. It was annihilated. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some species looked shocked. Others looked impressed. A few looked terrified. But that is not why I am here, Minho said. I am here because of this. Hana took over the presentation. She showed the intercepted communications. The orders from Kelthrian Command to attack human colonies. The coded messages between Kelthrian officers and certain Senate members. The evidence of conspiracy. The Kelthrian Empire did not just attack us, Minho said, his voice hard as steel. They orchestrated a campaign of genocide. And members of this Senate knew about it. Some helped. Others looked away. All of you are guilty. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens shouted denials. Others demanded proof. Some tried to leave but found the doors sealed. Human Marines stood at every exit. Order! A voice boomed through the chamber. The emergency chairman, a neutral species called the Venth, tried to restore calm. Order. The human representative will be allowed to speak without interruption. The noise died down. Mignot continued. According to your own laws, genocide is the highest crime. According to your own laws, those who commit genocide must face trial. According to your own laws, any species suffering genocide has the right to seek justice. He gestured to Vexillar, who stood on a lower platform, visible to all. I present Councillor Vexillar of the Kelthrian Empire. He ordered the attacks on human colonies. He ordered the invasion of Earth. He is responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent people. I demand he be tried for his crimes. You have no authority to demand anything, a voice called out. It belonged to another Kelthrian representative. The Senate does not answer to humans. Mignot turned to face the speaker. You are right. The Senate does not answer to humans. But the Senate must answer to its own laws. Or are your laws just words? Do they only apply to the weak? Do the powerful get to ignore them? Silence answered him. Let me make something very clear, Mignot said, his voice dropping to a dangerous quiet. Humanity asked for justice through proper channels. You refused. So we took justice for ourselves. We destroyed the fleet that threatened us. We captured the leader who ordered our deaths. We proved we can defend ourselves. He walked slowly around the platform, his eyes moving across the thousands of alien faces. You wanted to see if humanity was worthy of the galactic community. You tested us with fire and blood. Very well, we passed your test. Now it is time for you to pass ours. G1 stepped forward. The Terran Coalition submits the following demands to the Galactic Senate. First, immediate full membership with all rights and protections. Second, Councillor Vexillar and his co-conspirators will be tried for genocide under Senate law. Third, the Kelthrian Empire will pay reparations to human colonies for the damage they caused. Fourth, the Kelthrian military will be reduced and placed under Senate supervision. She paused, then added the final demand. Fifth, the Senate will reform its laws to prevent this from happening again. Any species that commits genocide will be expelled and sanctioned. Any member who enables genocide will face the same punishment. The age of looking away is over. The chamber exploded in arguments. Some species supported the demands. Others called them outrageous. The Kelthrians shouted that this was an insult. Several smaller species began proposing compromises. Mignot let them argue for several minutes. Then he raised his hand. Somehow that simple gesture brought silence. You can argue all you want, Mignot said. You can debate and discuss and delay. But here is what you need to understand. My fleet surrounds this planet. My ships carry weapons you have never seen before. We proved at Neptune that we can destroy forces far larger than our own. He let that sink in. But we do not want to destroy you. We want justice. We want peace. We want to be part of this community. We want to work with you, not against you. All you have to do is follow your own laws. All you have to do is treat us as equals. The emergency chairman spoke. And if the Senate refuses your demands? Mignot's face became hard. Then humanity will leave the Senate's protection entirely. We will form our own alliances. We will create our own rules. And any species that threatens us will face the same fate as the Kelthrian fleet. We will not start wars, but we will finish them. He pointed at Vexillar. This is what happens when you underestimate humanity. This is what happens when you think we are weak. We gave you a chance to do the right thing. You chose wrong. Now pay the price. An old alien stood up. It was one of the ancient species, one that had been part of the Senate for thousands of years. Its voice was thin but carried authority. The human makes a fair point. We dismissed them out of arrogance. We allowed the Kelthrians to act out of fear. We violated our own principles. Perhaps it is time we admitted our mistakes. Other voices joined in. Not all of them, but enough. The tide was turning. I call for a vote, the emergency chairman announced. All in favor of granting humanity full Senate membership, say aye. Slowly, hands and appendages rose. More and more of them. Not everyone voted yes, but most did. The Kelthrians voted no, of course. But their allies were silent, unwilling to support a losing cause. The motion passes, the chairman declared. Humanity is granted full membership in the Galactic Senate, with all rights and protections thereof. More votes followed. The trial of Vexillar was approved. Reparations were approved. Military restrictions on the Kelthrians were approved. Senate reform would be debated later, but the principle was accepted. Mignot stood quietly through it all. He showed no emotion, no triumph. This was not a victory to celebrate. Too many had died to get here. But it was justice. It was recognition. It was survival. When the voting ended, the emergency chairman spoke directly to Minho. "You have what you demanded, Admiral. Will you withdraw your fleet?" "The fleet will remain until Vexillar's trial is complete," Minho said. "After that, most will return to Earth. But a permanent detachment will be stationed here at Senate Prime, as is the right of all member species." The chairman nodded. "So be it." As Minho turned to leave, many aliens remained silent, but a few began to clap. Then more joined in. It was not universal, and some species refused to participate, but enough showed respect that the sound filled the chamber. Minho did not acknowledge it. He simply walked out, his team following. Outside, Captain Jiho was grinning. "We did it, sir. We actually did it. We survived," Minho corrected. "That is all. The real work starts now. Building alliances. Preventing future wars. Making sure this never happens again." Ji-won looked back at the Senate building. "Do you think they have learned their lesson?" "Some have," Minho said. "Others will need more reminding. But they know now that humanity cannot be ignored. They know we will fight for what is right. They know we are here to stay." Hana smiled slightly. "The galaxy will never be the same." "No," Minho agreed. "It will not." They boarded the shuttle and returned to the fleet. Behind them, Senate Prime buzzed with activity. News of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy. Some species celebrated, others worried. All of them talked about the day the Galactic Senate trembled when the human Admiral spoke. On Earth, celebrations erupted when the news arrived. People danced in the streets. Cities lit up with fireworks. For the first time in months, humanity felt safe. In his quarters on the Indomitable, Minho sat alone. He looked at the list of casualties from the battle. 23,000 names. 23,000 people who gave their lives so humanity could survive. He read each name. It took hours. It was the least he could do. Later, Ji-won found him there. "You should rest, Admiral." "You have earned it." "Have I?" Minho asked quietly. 23,000 people died under my command. Their families will never see them again. How do I rest knowing that? "You remember them," Ji-won said gently. "You honor their sacrifice. You make sure their deaths meant something, and you continue the work they died for." Minho nodded slowly. She was right. The battle was won, but the mission continued. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy. Now they had to prove they deserved it. Years passed. The Terran Coalition became one of the most respected powers in the Senate. Human ships patrolled trade routes, protecting merchant vessels from pirates. Human diplomats mediated disputes between species. Human scientists shared their discoveries freely. Other species learned to trust humanity. They learned that humans kept their promises. They learned that humans fought for justice, not conquest. They learned that humans never forgot their friends or their enemies. The story of Neptune Corridor became legend. Every species told it differently, but the core remained the same. The day a primitive species defeated an empire. The day the weak humbled the strong. The day the galaxy learned not to underestimate humanity. And in the Senate chamber, where decisions affecting trillions of beings were made, there hung a memorial. It listed 23,000 names, the humans who died so their species could live. Above the memorial, carved in crystal that would last forever, were simple words. They fought not for glory or conquest, but for survival and justice. May we never forget the price of peace or the cost of arrogance. May we always remember the day humanity taught us all a lesson. The galaxy remembered, and the galaxy was better for it.